boys and girls. I am here today to go over math with you. It is lesson 7, problem solving investigation, on page 469. So if you could all turn to page 469 so we could get started together, that would be great. So our strategy here as we're looking is called make an organized list. That seems easy enough. I mean, our parents make lists when they go to the store, so certainly this seems like something that we can handle. And boys and girls, I know that you can do this. So first, let's take a look at learn the strategy. It says Eva is giving away 8 stamps. Each friend will get an equal number of stamps. How many friends could get the stamps? All right, so we're going to be using our skills, I think, of division as well. I'm going to try to adjust that a little bit better. All right, so what is the problem actually saying? Well, it talks that she's giving away 8 stamps, and it wants to know how many friends could get the stamps. So now we need to work our way through the problem-solving process. Remember, we've taught you the first step in the process is to understand what exactly is the problem asking us to do. Because until we understand that, we can't get started. So we're going to go right here, and I'm trying to color things in so you know exactly where I am on the page, to step 1, understand. So what facts do we know? Well, we know that Eva is giving away how many stamps? We can look back at the problem here and see that she's giving away 8 stamps. I like to either mark it in some way or highlight it so that I can easily reference it. You might like to do that too. She will give away each friend an equal number of stamps. What do we need to find? Well, we marked it back up here again as how many friends could get the stamps. So, what do we need to find? The number of friends. Whew, I could barely fit it in there. Friends to which she could give stamps. So that's what we need to find is how many friends can she give stamps away to. All right, so the next part in the problem-solving process is step number 2. Step number 2, if you recall, is to plan. So now I need to come up with the process on how I'm going to solve this problem. So my plan here is I'm going to make an organized list to see the ways I can divide the number 8 evenly. Because remember, how many stamps does she have? She has 8 stamps. So I want to find out, can she give that to which friends and how many to which friends? So what we're going to do now is the third step. Remember, the first step was understand, the second step was plan, and now step number 3 is going to be our solve step. So now we know that we're going to make an organized list. Often when we make an organized list, we make something called a table. And I know you've made these before, but this right here is how we're going to organize our information. We're going to organize it here in a table. And luckily for this first example, they've done it for us. But as we get started on the next ones, we'll do it together. So now we have to label the table. A table is absolutely not of use unless we label it so we know what each part is. So this first part is number of friends. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 friends. And then our second part will be number of stamps. This part would be the part that actually requires you to do some math. Okay? This is just writing number of friends. So if we take a look at this, because the math is already done for us here, we can try to understand it. So if she only had 1 friend, she had 8 stamps divided by 1 friend, she could give 8 stamps away. So that one person would get all 8. But if Eva wanted to give 2 friends the stamps, 8 stamps divided by 2 people, each person would get how many? 4 stamps is right. So each person would get 4 stamps. 3. Now we're going to take 8 divided by 3. Remember the rule was had to be evenly. If we go back up to the top here, it says equal number. So we can't do half of a stamp or anything like that. So if it doesn't divide equally, we can't do that. So 8 divided by 3, it's not possible at all. So she cannot evenly give stamps away to 3 friends. 4 friends, 8 divided by 4. If she has 8 stamps divided by her 4 friends, each friend will get how many stamps? 2. 2 is correct. Excellent. 8 divided by 5, well, that's not possible. 8 divided by 6 is not possible. 8 divided by 7 is not possible. But if she has 8 friends, 8 stamps divided by 8 friends equals 1 stamp for each friend. So the question over here in the solve, if I can turn your attention back to here, it says divide the total number of stamps by the numbers 1 through 8. That's what we did. That's what we did here in the table. So Eva can give 1 friend stamps, 2 friend stamps. She cannot give 3 friend stamps, 4 friend stamps, but she cannot give 5. She cannot give 6. She cannot give 7. But she can give 8 friends stamps. Okay, how can we determine if this makes sense? What is the inverse operation of all this division we did here? Yeah, we can use multiplication. Yes, it makes sense. We can use multiplication to check our answers. And how would we do that? Well, if the problem is 8 divided by 1 equals 8, remember we would see if 8 times 1 equals 8, and it does. So we can use that inverse operation. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right, let's turn the page, boys and girls, to page 470. That looks intimidating. It is all blank, but I'm positive we can do this together. So let's look at what it says for practice the strategy. We are right here. Okay? It says Ian is numbering the pages of his journal 1 through 8. Do you think that's going to be important information? I think it might be, but I'm going to read through the whole problem before I mark my important information. He wants to start a new section after every 8 pages. That might be important too. On what pages will each new section begin? That's what it wants us to find out. So I do think that we need to know that there are 1 to 48 and that after every 8 pages, he's going to mark a different section. And the question says, on what pages will each new section begin? So I like to either highlight those or box them. And what I mean by box is I can box with like a pen or a pencil. I know you guys are using pencils and a pencil works perfectly fine. The reason I'm using a pen, I normally wouldn't use a pen to do math. But the reason I am is so that it's darker so that you can see it. All right, so the first thing we do in the problem solving process is step 1, and that's to understand what is this question asking us. So what facts do we already know? What are the facts we know? Well, we know that Ian is numbering pages in his journal 1 through 48. And instead of writing the word through, I did a dash because that can mean through. Then what's another thing we know? Well, we know there's going to be a new section after every 8 pages. So a new section after every 8 pages. So those are two facts that we know about that. Now we need to figure out what do we need to find. Well, that was pretty clear. We kind of made a wiggly line under this. So what do we need to find? We need to find on what pages will each new section begin. So boys and girls, if you need me to slow down, did you know that you can press the space bar and it will pause and then you can catch up? And when you're ready, you repress the space bar. So sometimes it's actually cool to have these lessons recorded so that you can go at the pace that you need. All right, so number 2 is our plan. So how are we going to solve this? Well, we need to remember that our strategy is organized lists. So I will make an organized list. Okay? I'll make an organized list to keep track of all the beginning page numbers, because that's ultimately, we need to find out what page each new section begins on. So we need to think when we go to section 3, which is solve. We need to think, how are we going to solve that? Now remember, if I'm going too fast, just hit the space bar, put me on pause, and catch right up. So each section will have 8 pages. All right, so we're going to multiply each section to see how that works. I think we're going to make a table. So we're going to draw a rectangle. Okay. We can't forget that we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, I think. Let's do ending page as a label. And let's do beginning page. Okay. Now, I need to think. There are 48 pages, correct? And each section has 8 pages. So I need to think of, what is 48 divided by 8? Good. It's 6, because 8 times 6 equals 48. So I'm going to have 6 sections, but that's not what it's asking us. It's asking us what pages will each new section start on. So we know there's going to be 6 sections, but we don't know the page numbers yet. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that bottom section is 6. We don't need anything down there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. So ending page, if I take 1 times 8, that will get us our ending page. But it doesn't tell us what page the next section starts on. Well, I know it ends on 8, and I have to add 1 more page to it. So the beginning page to the second section is what? Is 9. Okay, so let's put this, the first section is page 1. Second section, we decided, begins on page 9. So then we have the second, 2 times 8. 2 sections of 8 equals 16, correct? So then we need to go 16 plus 1 equals 17. So the third section starts on 17. All right, now we need the third times 8. What page does it end on? The third section ends on page 24. So the very next page would be the beginning. So 24 plus 1 is, you got it, 25. So the fourth section begins on 25. Okay, so the fourth section times 8 pages equals 32. 32 ends on the 32nd page, so 32 plus 1 equals 33. That means the fifth section starts on page 33. Then we have 5 times 8 equals 40. So we know that the fifth section ends on page 40. So if it ends on page 40, the very next page would be plus 1 is 41. So the sixth section will start on page 41. And 6 times 8 is 48. And that is the end of the book. So it doesn't have, there is no more beginning pages. So you can see that the first section starts on page 1. The second section starts on page 9. The third section starts on page 17. The fourth section starts on page 25. The fifth section starts on page 33. And the sixth section starts on page 41. Can we check this with skip counting? We can check it with skip counting. So we can check with skip counting by 8s and then add 1. Because remember, we're always going to have to see what the next page is, which would be adding 1. This was a very complicated one. I'm super proud of you guys for continuing on. Now let's look at what you will be doing. So you're going to be applying the strategy. Solve each problem by making an organized list. So Gracie bought a goldfish at the pet store. She had only 1 nickel, 1 dime, and 1 quarter in her wallet. How much could her goldfish have cost? So you're going to make a table. Okay, and we're going to label it coins and combinations, and we're going to try to figure it out. So she could have used just a nickel, right? Because she had one of those. She could have used just a dime and just a quarter. So first she could have used a nickel. In the nickel, she could have used just a nickel. She could have used the nickel plus the dime, and she could have used the nickel plus the quarter. Okay, so 5 cents plus 10 cents is 15 cents, and 5 cents plus 25 cents is 30 cents. So she could have paid all of those. Then she had a dime, so she could have just used the dime. We already did a dime and a nickel, but we didn't do a dime and a quarter. So that's 35 cents. Could have cost her 35 cents. Okay, all right, so then we have a quarter. So it could have cost her a quarter? Or have we used a quarter and a nickel? Yes. Have we used a quarter and a dime? Yes. But we haven't done 25 cents plus 10 cents plus 5 cents. So 25, 35, 40 cents. So you can see all the possibilities. 5 cents, 10 cents, 30 cents. 5 cents, 15 cents. Sorry about that. 30 cents, 10 cents, 35 cents, 25 cents, and 40 cents. What I want to caution you when you continue on with making these tables is that you have to take your time and make sure that you are doing them correctly. So then here you will look for a pattern. Stuart wants to know how many times he gets an even number as a product. Remember, product is the answer to a multiplication problem of his 6's multiplication facts. When multiplying by 6, are the products odd or even? So you would need to write out 1 times 6, 2 times 6, all the way up till the tens and find out. And then write, when he multiplies by 6, are they even, odd, or always even, or always odd? Now, the next question says, is the same true about quotients? Remember, quotients are answers to division problems. So then you would need to check 6 divided by 1, 6 divided by 2, 6 divided by 3, and see what you can do. Are they the same rule as you found out here? And then on the back page, you're going to be reviewing a bunch of strategies we've learned this year. It might be determine if there's extra or missing information. It might be going back to make a table, looking for a pattern, using models. I will read them. Paula put 6 books on one side of a balance scale that is 3 feet long. On the other side, she puts 5 books and her baseball glove. The sides balanced, which means they sat evenly. Each book weighs 3 pounds. How much does her glove weigh? Did you have extra information? Are you able to solve that? If so, what's the answer? Number 4, Jonas has 6 fish tanks with 6 fish in each tank. After he sold some, he had 27 fish left. How much did each fish cost if he made $63? Can you figure that out? Do you have too much information? Do you have missing information? Can you solve it? Number 5, Angelina's mother knits gloves and mittens that are red, blue, green, or brown. How many different colors of gloves and mittens can she knit? Explain how she can do that. Okay, and then finally, make a plan. A group of 16 people want to go to the zoo. It costs $30 for each group of 6 people. Otherwise, it costs $6 per person. How much does it cost for 16 people to go? These are going to be challenging, boys and girls, and I want you to take your time and do your very best. I'm positive that you can do this. Just slow down, think about what it's asking, and apply the strategies. Have a happy, happy math day.